They weren't just movie stars, they were living monuments of muscle, the bronze gods of the silver screen. In an age before protein shakes, steroids, and Photoshop, these men built their bodies the hard way, under blazing sun, in dusty gyms, in the crucible of sport and sweat. They were gladiators in tailored suits, matinee idols with the power to crush a villain, or lift a damsel with one arm. This is the story of old Hollywood's most sculpted legends, the real-life strongmen who turned muscle into myth. Steve Reeves, the Hercules who walked among us. Before superheroes ruled the box office, there was Steve Reeves, a man whose very silhouette could have been chiseled from marble. Born in Montana in 1926, Reeves grew from a lanky farm boy into one of the most celebrated natural bodybuilders of his era, winning the coveted Mr. Universe title in 1950. But his destiny wasn't just the stage, it was the screen. When Italian filmmakers went searching for their perfect Hercules, Reeves fit the role so completely it seemed as if the ancient myths had leapt into flesh and blood. In Hercules 1958 and Hercules Unchained 1959, his powerful frame, regal bearing, and calm, commanding presence captivated audiences worldwide. Unlike many strongmen before him, Reeves combined size with symmetry, strength with elegance. Off-screen, he was known for his discipline and his refusal to compromise his natural approach to training. He inspired millions not just to watch greatness, but to strive for it. In an era before digital trickery, every feat of strength you saw on screen was truly his. To this day, Steve Reeves stands as the gold standard of what a Hollywood strongman could be, a legend larger than life, yet entirely real. Reg Park, the bodybuilder who became a myth. If Steve Reeves was the Hercules who opened the gates, Reg Park was the Titan who marched through them. Born in Leeds, England in 1928, Park was already a natural athlete when he discovered the world of bodybuilding. With a work ethic forged in post-war grit, he built a physique so massive and powerful it seemed almost impossible for the time. Broad shoulders like fortress walls, arms like sculpted steel. After winning the Mr. Universe title 3 times, Park turned his sights to the big screen. Italian cinema once again called for a demigod, and Park answered, starring in Hercules and the Captive Women, 1961, and a string of sword-and-sandal epics. On screen, he didn't just look the part, he owned it. His presence radiated raw strength, yet carried an unmistakable dignity. Beyond the camera lights, Park became a mentor and an icon in the bodybuilding world, famously inspiring a young Arnold Schwarzenegger to pursue his dreams. His training philosophy was simple but unyielding. Lift heavy, train hard, live with purpose. Reg Park wasn't just an actor, or even just a champion. He was the living embodiment of strength, both in body and in will. Gordon Scott, Tarzan with the heart of a warrior. In the mid-1950s, the jungle had a new king, and he didn't just swing from vines, he commanded the screen with sheer physical power. Gordon Scott, born in Portland, Oregon in 1926, was an ex-lifeguard whose towering 6'3" frame and athletic build caught the attention of Hollywood. When he stepped into the role of Tarzan, he brought with him a blend of muscle and agility rarely seen on the silver screen. Scott's Tarzan was different. Gone was the grunting, primitive, wild man of earlier decades. This was a thinking hero, strong yet articulate, a protector as much as a fighter. His physique, honed through years of disciplined training, was not just for show. Whether wrestling crocodiles in the water or swinging through dense jungle canopies, Scott performed his stunts with the grace of an athlete and the confidence of a champion. When his vine-swinging days were done, Scott journeyed to Italy, where the sword-and-sandal boom welcomed his gladiator's build. From jungle hero to ancient warrior, he carried the same presence, a man who looked as though he had stepped straight from the pages of an adventure novel into the world's most dazzling stage, old Hollywood. Johnny Weissmuller, the Olympian who became king of the jungle. Before he was Tarzan, Johnny Weissmuller was already a legend. Born in 1904 in what was then Austria-Hungary, he rose from humble beginnings to dominate the world of competitive swimming. By the time he hung up his swim cap, Weissmuller had won 5 Olympic gold medals, 1 bronze, and set dozens of world records, feats that earned him the title of the fastest swimmer alive. Hollywood took notice. In 1932, he was cast as Tarzan, and overnight, Weissmuller became the definitive face and physique of the jungle hero. With his broad chest, powerful arms, and effortless athleticism, he performed stunts that looked as natural as breathing. His famous jungle yell became a cinematic trademark, but it was his commanding physical presence that made audiences believe this man truly ruled the wild. For 12 films, Weissmuller swung from vines, dived from towering cliffs, and fought Hollywood's most fearsome beasts, all without a stunt double in sight. Off-screen, he carried himself with the same quiet confidence that defined his characters. To this day, Johnny Weissmuller is remembered not just as a Tarzan but the Tarzan, the athlete-turned-actor who brought muscle, grace, and a dash of myth to the silver screen. Buster Crabbe, the all-American hero of land, sea, and space. Clarence Buster Crabbe didn't just play heroes, he lived like one. Born in 1908 in Oakland, California, Crabbe was a gifted swimmer who followed in Johnny Weissmuller's wake, winning Olympic gold in the 400-meter freestyle at the 1932 Los Angeles Games. His athleticism and chiseled build made him a natural for the cameras, and Hollywood soon came calling. Crabbe's career became a whirlwind of adventure roles. He was Tarzan in the 1933 serial Tarzan the Fearless, but his greatest fame came as two of science fiction's most enduring champions, Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers. On screen, his muscular frame and confident stance gave life to heroes who could wrestle monsters, duel space villains, and still flash a roguish smile for the audience. What set Crabbe apart was his versatility. Whether wearing a loincloth in the jungle or a ray gun holster in the cosmos, he projected the same physical command, a hero's bearing, forged through years of discipline and sport. To millions of young moviegoers in the 1930s and 40s, Buster Crabbe wasn't just another actor. He was the embodiment of adventure itself, proof that a true champion could conquer not just the earth, but the stars. Charles Atlas, the man who made the world want to be strong. Long before the modern fitness industry, one man's name became synonymous with physical perfection, Charles Atlas. Born Angelo Siciliano in Italy in 1892, he arrived in America as a small, skinny immigrant boy. Determined to transform himself, he studied the physiques of ancient Greek statues and set out to match them, muscle for muscle. Through sheer determination and his now famous dynamic tension training method, Atlas built a body so balanced and powerful that he was crowned the world's most perfectly developed man in the 1920s. His physique wasn't just about size, it was about proportion, grace, and a timeless aesthetic that seemed carved in stone. Hollywood embraced him, not as a leading man, but as an icon. He made appearances, posed for promotional reels, and became the face of fitness for millions. His mail-order courses promised transformation to anyone willing to work, and his advertisements, the legendary 97-pound weakling comic, became cultural landmarks. Charles Atlas didn't just sell a body, he sold an idea, that strength, discipline, and confidence were within reach for anyone. In an era of glamour and spectacle, he was the real deal, a man who turned muscle into a movement. Victor Mature, the colossus of the biblical epics. Victor Mature was the kind of leading man who seemed too big for an ordinary suit, and Hollywood knew exactly how to use him. Born in Louisville, Kentucky in 1913, Mature possessed a broad, powerful frame and a dark, commanding presence that set him apart from the smooth, slender matinee idols of his day. He first made waves in the 1940s, but it was the grand historical and biblical productions of the late 40s and 50s that truly showcased his stature. In Samson and Delilah, 1949, Mature embodied the legendary strongman with a mix of raw physicality and theatrical intensity. Standing beside elaborate sets and vast crowds, he still dominated the screens simply by stepping into the frame. Mature's appeal went beyond muscles. He had a sly charm and a self-awareness that kept his heroes human. Whether wielding a sword, breaking chains, or facing down armies, he moved with the confidence of a man who knew he looked every inch the part. In an era when spectacle was king, Victor Mature stood tall, literally, as one of Hollywood's most imposing and unforgettable figures. Rory Calhoun, the cowboy built like a prizefighter. Rory Calhoun looked like he had stepped straight out of a dime novel, tall, broad-shouldered, and carved from the same rugged stone as the landscapes of his westerns. Born in Los Angeles in 1922, Calhoun lived a life as colorful as any script, working ranches, riding horses, and roughing it long before the cameras rolled. His athletic build and natural ease in the saddle made him a director's dream for frontier adventures. Breaking into films in the late 1940s, Calhoun quickly became a fixture in Hollywood's golden era of westerns. In The Silver Whip, The Texan Meets Calamity Jane, and countless others, he brought a physical presence that made every fistfight and horseback chase look authentic. His broad chest and rangy frame gave him the look of a man who could go toe-to-toe with anyone, on screen or off. But Calhoun's appeal wasn't just muscle. It was the mix of strength and quiet charm. He could play the dangerous outlaw or the noble drifter with equal ease, always carrying himself with the confidence of someone who had truly lived the kind of adventures most actors only pretended to. For audiences of the 1950s, Rory Calhoun was the real deal, the cowboy hero you believed could ride into town, set things right, and ride out without a scratch. Glenn Morris, the decathlete who swung into legend. Glenn Morris was the very definition of an all-around athlete, a man who could run, jump, throw, and lift with the best in the world. Born in the small farming community of Simla, Colorado, in 1912, Morris grew up doing hard physical labor, building a natural foundation of strength and endurance. That raw ability led him to track and field, where he quickly rose through the ranks, excelling in the most demanding event of them all, the decathlon. In 1936, Morris traveled to Berlin to compete in the Summer Olympics. Under the gaze of the world, he delivered a performance for the ages, winning gold, setting a new world record, and earning the title, World's Greatest Athlete. His combination of speed, power, and stamina was unmatched, and his victory became a point of pride for the United States during a politically charged games. Hollywood soon came calling, drawn to the idea of casting a real-life Olympic champion as a screen hero. In 1938, Morris donned the iconic loincloth for Tarzan's revenge. Though it would be his only outing as the Jungle Lord, his powerful frame and athletic grace made an immediate impression. When Morris swung through the trees or dove into the river, it wasn't stunt trickery, it was the genuine movement of a world-class athlete. While his time in the spotlight was brief, Glenn Morris left behind a legacy as one of the rare men who truly was the hero he played. Strong, fast, and fearless, he brought the authenticity of the arena to the silver screen, cementing his place among old Hollywood's most formidable figures. Mike Henry, the gridiron giant who became Tarzan. Mike Henry was a man built for impact, whether on the football field or the silver screen. Born in Los Angeles in 1936, he was a natural athlete from the start, excelling in multiple sports before finding his true calling in football. Standing 6 feet 2 inches and weighing over 220 pounds, Henry wasn't just big, he was fast, agile, and explosive. That combination made him a standout linebacker in the NFL, first with the Pittsburgh Steelers and later with the Los Angeles Rams. On the gridiron, he was known for his ferocity, his bone-rattling tackles, and his unshakable presence. Hollywood eventually came knocking, and in mid-1960s, Henry traded shoulder pads for a loincloth. Cast as Tarzan in 3 films, Tarzan and the Valley of Gold, 1966, Tarzan and the Great River, 1967, and Tarzan and the Jungle Boy, 1968, he brought to the role a physical presence unlike any before him. Broad-shouldered, square-jawed, and carrying the kind of muscle you can't fake, Henry's Tarzan looked every bit the apex predator of the jungle. His portrayal was more than just muscle, though. Henry gave Tarzan a quiet intelligence, a noble calm, and the authority of a man completely in command of his world. When he swung through the vines or dove into the rapids, audiences believed this was a figure who could truly survive and thrive in the wild. Off-screen, he carried the same discipline and toughness that had made him a football star, earning the respect of co-stars and crews alike. Mike Henry may have worn the mantle of Tarzan for only a few years, but he left behind one of the most commanding and physically imposing portrayals of the character ever filmed, a true giant of both the jungle and the gridiron. Johnny Sheffield, from Jungle Boy to screen adventurer. Johnny Sheffield grew up before the eyes of moviegoers, first as a child, then as a young man, always in the heart of the jungle. Born in Pasadena, California, in 1931, Sheffield was already athletic and fearless by the time Hollywood found him. At just 8 years old, he was chosen from hundreds of hopefuls to play Boy, the adopted son of Johnny Weissmuller's Tarzan, in Tarzan Finds a Son, 1939. Even as a child, Sheffield had a sturdy, muscular build and a natural ease with physical stunts. He swung from vines, dived from great heights, and wrestled alongside Weissmuller in some of the most action-packed moments of the Tarzan series. Audiences loved the father and son dynamic, and Sheffield appeared in 8 Tarzan films over the next 7 years, growing into a strong and athletic teenager on screen. When his Tarzan chapter closed, Sheffield wasn't ready to hang up the jungle gear. In 1949, he took on the lead role in Bomba the Jungle Boy, a new adventure series that spanned 12 films. Now the central hero, Sheffield showcased the full measure of his physical presence, lean, tanned, and agile, with the confident bearing of someone who had been doing stunts since childhood. Whether leaping into rivers or trekking through dense foliage, he made it all look effortless. Though he left acting in his 20s, Johnny Sheffield remains a unique figure in old Hollywood history, a performer who spent nearly his entire career in the adventure genre, growing from Jungle Boy to Jungle Man before an entire generation of moviegoers. His strength, agility, and fearless spirit kept him a favorite in the action serial tradition, long after the final vine had been swung. Jack LaLanne, the godfather of modern fitness. Long before the age of workout DVDs, protein powders, and gym chains, there was one man who brought physical fitness into America's living rooms and into its conscience. Jack LaLanne, born in San Francisco in 1914, wasn't always the picture of health. As a boy, he described himself as weak and sickly until a single lecture on nutrition and exercise transformed his life. From that day on, LaLanne dedicated himself to building strength, vitality, and a philosophy of lifelong fitness. By the 1930s, he had developed a physique that was not only powerful but enduring, muscles that could work hard, and a stamina that seemed endless. He opened one of the nation's first modern gyms in Oakland in 1936, introducing resistance machines, nutrition guidance, and training principles decades ahead of their time. His charisma and physical feats soon drew media attention, and in 1951, the Jack LaLanne Show hit the airwaves. For over 3 decades, viewers tuned in to watch the energetic host lead calisthenics, give practical health advice, and perform astonishing displays of strength and endurance. LaLanne swam handcuffed across bays, towed boats loaded with passengers, and completed challenges that would exhaust men half his age, all to prove that fitness was the key to a vibrant, capable life. Jack LaLanne wasn't just another strongman. He was a teacher, a showman, and a living testament to his own message. Until his final years, he practiced what he preached, a combination of clean living, relentless exercise, and an unshakable belief that the human body, at any age, could be pushed to greatness. In the golden age of Hollywood and beyond, he stood as proof that strength was not just for the screen, it was for life. From the golden glow of the silver screen to the living rooms of America, these 12 men proved that strength is timeless. They were more than actors or athletes. They were symbols of determination, discipline, and the enduring human spirit. Their muscles may have been built in gyms, on playing fields, or in the wilds of adventure, but their real power came from the way they inspired audiences then, and still do today. If you enjoyed this journey through Hollywood's mightiest legends, give this video a like. It helps keep these stories alive. Subscribe for more tales of classic cinema, and the icons who defined it. And tell us in the comments, which of these old Hollywood strongmen is your favorite, or who you think should be on our next list. Until next time, keep your head high, your spirit strong, and your love for the classics burning bright.